There were midweek matches last night, and the biggest of them all had to be Liverpool against Leicester City. It wasn't the league, rather it was the Carabao Cup, where it was a 6-goal thriller, and Liverpool had to come from 2-0 down, at some point 3-1 down, to be able to force a penalty shootout, which they eventually won in sudden death, and it was Diogo Jota who won that. It's on that note I welcome you to today's edition of the show. It is The Arena, and I'm Samson Oloide, and I'll be doing this all alone as my guest couldn't make it down to the studio. But not to worry, there's still so much for you in store, talking about the show itself. On that note, I say welcome once again. This is The Arena coming to you live from our studios in Lagos, Nigeria, talking about the iBrand studios. Now let's delve into the thick of things real quick. We start with Chelsea's match yesterday. 2 late goals was able to get Chelsea over the line against Brentford. Remember, both teams met earlier in the season, talking about the Premier League, and it was a keenly contested affair. This time around, Chelsea were able to edge them with 2 late goals. Jorginho scored the second goal. It was a penalty. The first was an own goal, and once again Brentford got hard done by. But it must be said that for Thomas Tuchel and his men, it's good news as they have moved into the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, talking about this year's edition, and the fixtures for the semi-finals are clear and set. Chelsea will be taking on Spurs. Spurs also won yesterday by 2-1 against West Ham. Now let's talk about the biggest match of yesterday night, which is Liverpool against Leicester City. Liverpool ended up drawing 3-3 in forcing the penalty, and it was Tika Minamino who was able to come off the bench to get the equalizer at the 5th minute of stoppage time for Liverpool to be able to force that, and it was a wonderful strike. It was a match wherein Leicester City will count their losses and reel their chances, haven't been profligate in front of goal. Jamie Vardy got them rolling with a brace, 2 quick goals, and it seemed like Liverpool were all done for until Alexander Chamberlain was able to restore parity by having the deficit. But James Maddison also got the 3rd goal for Leicester City to ensure they were comfortable, 2 goals ahead, 3-1 it ended at the first half, and then they just couldn't hold their own. Diogo Jota came off the bench to get the 2nd goal for Liverpool to make it 3-2, and then the 5th minute of stoppage time, as I said earlier, it was Minamino who has found playing time had to come by due to heroics of the likes of Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah, as well as Roberto Firmino, who struck in the 5th minute of stoppage time to force the penalty shootout. And you have to give credit to Liverpool's young goalkeeper Keller, who pulled off 2 saves to ensure that Liverpool make it into the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. And what we have right now is that Spurs will be taking on Chelsea. Spurs emerged 2-1 winners against West Ham. It was a very interesting match. 3 goals within the space of 5 minutes, and the likes of Steven Bergwijn as well as Lucas Moura got the goals for Tottenham Hotspur, while for West Ham United it was Jaren Bowen who got the goal for them. 2-1 that ended. So the semi-final fixtures are set. Spurs against Chelsea. It's a repeat of the 2015 final, which Chelsea won by 2-0. And for Antonio Conte especially, it's a reunion with his old club. Remember, he led Chelsea to the Premier League title in his first season in charge. That was the season where he had the likes of Diego Costa, the bully striker who was making things happen up front. So there's so much at stake for the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. Chelsea against Spurs, a reunion for Antonio Conte, while for Arsenal, they will be facing Liverpool, and that's one to look out for. Arsenal are on a good run of form right about now, talking about Mikel Arteta's team. They're in the top 4 for the first time in over 18 months. That's over a year and a half, and they're also into the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. So it's good times to be a gunner, and for Chelsea fans, it's another amazing run and a chance to earn, a cup title. The first leg of the semi-final fixtures will be played on January 3rd, while the second leg will be played a week later, January 10th. So you should expect that fireworks will go down, and let's hope that the best of competitive football is what we will see when it comes to the Carabao Cup semi-final fixtures. Now let's move away from Carabao Cup, still talking football in England, and this time around it's a surprise news. Manchester City have agreed with Barcelona to sell their forward, talking about Ferran Torres, for 55 million euros, and there will be 10 million euros add-ons when it comes to the deal. And it's quite surprising because Ferran Torres just joined Manchester City August 2020, and he spent just a year. He scored 16 goals in 43 matches for the citizens, as Manchester City are known. So it's quite surprising that he's been offloaded to Barcelona, but it's understandable if you're a Catalan, talking about Barcelona faithfuls, because they are now without Sergio Aguero, who has retired due to the chest discomforts he suffered and the cardiac problems he had. So it means that Ferran Torres, who is still young, 23-year-old, will be the one to lead the charge when it comes to Barcelona's offensive. More importantly, he is Xavi Hernandez's first signing as Barcelona coach. Remember, the Barcelona legend returned to Barcelona just a few weeks ago, and the winter transfer window, Barcelona will be hoping to get busy, although they still have financial challenges when it comes to bankruptcy and the various debts where they have. So this move has been engineered courtesy of a new loan they got from a bank, and let's see if they will be adding 1 or 2 more players to their ranks when it comes to the prosecuting the La Liga. Right now, they're off the standings. They're not even in the race for top 4. It means Champions League football is not looking likely for Barcelona next season. Remember, this season they couldn't even make it out of their group that had Bayern Munich as well as Benfica and Dynamo Kiev. So it shows you how far off Barcelona has fallen from the radar of top clubs. But let's hope that Xavi's return to the club will bring about some sort of resurgence. It will take time. It's a rebuilding process, and I'm sure the club and their fans will have to be patient with the young lads who would bring about the new era when it comes to Barcelona's dominance, not just in Spanish football, but also on the UEFA Champions League stage. I'll go on a quick break right now. When I return, we'll be talking about the Premier League and the meetings that we'll be holding on today with regards to the fixture pile-up, the attempts to contain the COVID-19 outbreak in various clubs, amongst others. Do stick around. Thanks for staying tuned. It's still the arena. Now it's time to talk about the COVID-19 outbreak in the Premier League. Now remember that 6 matches were postponed last weekend due to various clubs struggling with the COVID-19 outbreak in their various teams. And the new variant, talking about the Omicron variant, is also at the center stage of discussion. So the Premier League is meeting, they're having 2 meetings precisely today, Thursday, and they will be meeting with coaches of the Premier League, and they will also be meeting with captains and senior players of various teams as they look to include the players in their discussions and how to go about the league. Remember that the clubs voted against suspending the league for the time being due to the COVID outbreak, so it means that the league continues when it comes to competitive football. But now the players felt excluded from those discussions and negotiations, and they felt that their own welfare and safety have not been put into consideration. So the Premier League would have, by 4 p.m. they will be meeting with Premier League coaches, and afterwards they will be meeting with captains and senior players of the teams. On top of the agenda in their meeting with regards to the players and captains and senior players will be the players' welfare and safety. For so many of these players, the festive period has a congested fixture. For example, Liverpool will be playing 5 matches in less than 14 days. It's so much for some players, especially for clubs that are battling with various, COVID outbreaks as well as injuries. Remember, Chelsea is one of such clubs. Although Thomas Tuchel, the coach, said the likes of Lukaku, Kante all returned negative results from their COVID test, but the COVID outbreaks in clubs like Spurs, Leicester City, amongst others. So various clubs will be meeting with the Premier League, and they will try to fashion a way forward when it comes to continuing with the competition itself. I know it's difficult to call for a suspension of the league because someone like Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool's coach, is against it due to how compressed the fixtures will be going into the next 2-3 months. But one way or the other, both clubs and the various clubs and the Premier League management would have to sit and decide. So let's see what comes out of their meetings today, the one with the coaches as well as the captains and senior players. But top of the list will be the players' welfare and their safety. And there are talks as well regards the possibility of introducing 5 substitutes in a particular game due to various clubs battling with injuries and COVID outbreak. Remember that last year the IFAB, which is the body in charge of football rules, brought about 5 substitutions. They permitted 5 substitutions, which is an additional 2 from the traditional 3. But the Premier League did not implement it this season. They decided to still stick with 3. The likes of Pep Guardiola, Manchester City's coach, and Liverpool's coach Jurgen Klopp are in favor of 5 substitutions to be reintroduced into the Premier League, especially now that clubs are battling with various COVID outbreaks as well as injuries. So there's the possibility that after today's meeting, we'll have 5 substitutions reintroduced into the Premier League just to cushion the effect that it has on players and the wear and tear on the body of the players. Let's see how that pans out. But for the captains and senior players, when they meet with the Premier League, they will be talking about the possibility of suspending one of a week's fixture so that players can have enough time to rest and their body can recover from the grueling demands that the game, expects from them all the time. Talking about the Premier League and the various meetings. So let's see how that pans out. Now let's delve into yesterday's fixtures, matches that were played in the Italian Serie A. Inter Milan table toppers were able to get a lone victory. It was just a goal, 1-0. It was a hard-fought win, but that's what champions do, and they are the defending champions. Talking about Inter Milan, they were able to grind out that result against Torino, and it means that they still maintain their position at the top of the log, and in fact they've extended it with a 4-point lead now at the top of the table, because Napoli surprisingly lost at home to Spezia, and it means that Napoli are falling back to 3rd place. But for Inter Milan, they've consolidated their lead at the top and are 4 points clear of city rivals AC Milan. Talking about AC Milan, you had them win emphatically at Empoli as well, 4-2 that ended, and it was the Ivorian midfielder Frankesi who got a brace in that one. In fact, he got the first 2 goals of the match to get the team going. So AC Milan have displaced Napoli in 2nd place, and it seems that the title race will go down to the wire, and it will be between the 2 city rivals, talking about Inter Milan and AC Milan. Let's see how it pans out, but right now it's Inter Milan in the lead, 4 points clear of their city rivals. Will Zlatan Ibrahimovic lead AC Milan to another title? When he was at AC Milan in 2011, his first stint at the club, he won the title in 2011. It's just a matter of time if the legendary Swiss, who is over 40 years and still making it count when it comes to scoring goals for AC Milan, if he will be able to lead them to Scudetto glory, talking about the Italian Serie A title. Now let's move away from there to the French League 1, where it was another disappointing night for Paris Saint-Germain as they drew by 1-1 against Lorient. And it must be said that it was a really difficult match for them, but the big news or the big takeaway from that match will probably be Sergio Ramos. In just the 2nd appearance for Paris Saint-Germain, he got red carded, he got sent off, in the context, and it's just, you want to say, typical Sergio Ramos to get red carded when it comes to crunchy tackles and infringement. So Sergio Ramos got his matching orders late in the game, it must be said. It's 6th minute precisely, and he had to take an Argentine, not Lionel Messi this time around, but Mario Icardi, to be able to snatch a draw for Paris Saint-Germain late in additional time, as he was able to get the better of the goalkeeper, and that just ensured that Paris Saint-Germain got a point from that match. It must be said that the French champions are currently they're still leading, though they've dropped points, but they're still well clear of the table, and it means that they're still on course to win another title, though for Mauricio Pochettino's men, the form has been fluctuating of late. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll be talking about other sports. Do stick around. Thanks for staying tuned. It's still the arena. Now it's time to talk other sports, and this time around we'll be talking about the business aspect of sports. We'll start with the world of Formula One, where Ferrari have linked up or reunited with their former partners, talking about the Spanish banking group Santander, and it means that the union now it's a new multi-year partnership that would result into several millions. For Ferrari, for the banking group, I beg your pardon, they would have their logo feature on Ferrari's car, though it would also feature on the race suits as well as caps. And the terms of the deal has not been disclosed to the public, but it must be said that the first stint between Ferrari and Santander, which was between 2010 and 2017, was worth $50 million a year. Talking about the deal between Santander and Ferrari. So from 2022 season, Ferrari is back with Santander as its premium sponsors and partners, and let's see how that partnership fares in terms of the discourse, or rather the discussions regards the finances. But the new deal is said to be worth over $50 million, which was what the previous deal was in terms of annual revenue. So it's Ferrari this time around making in money. Let's move on from there to Atlanta Hawks. In the world of basketball, the Atlanta Hawks are close to selling, I beg your pardon, a minority stake, which would see the club get evaluated to about $2 billion. They're currently worth $1.8 billion, talking about the Atlanta Hawks. And this time around, they're set to sell the a minority stake to a U.S. private equity firm known as Dial Oncourt Partners. Dial Oncourt Partners. The investment is set to increase the franchise valuation from $1.8 billion to $2 billion, just as I said earlier. And Tony Ressler, the chairman of Atlanta Hawks, who led a group to buy the Hawks in 2015 for $730 million, will still be the majority owner when the deal is completed. But the Hawks, in terms of valuation, have seen a 19% increase from last year, and that's due to the team's run to the Eastern Conference Finals, as well as a $5 billion real estate development, which is to take place at the franchise's home court, talking about the State Farm Arena. So there's so much money for the Hawks to make, and let's see if with the new investment from the private equity firm, they will be able to sign one or two top players to have, what you call the big three when it comes to the world of basketball. There's Trae Young, who is a very fantastic point guard and is making things happen for them. So let's see if they can get 2 or 3 more big players to complement his efforts. And you never can tell where it would lead the Hawks, maybe probably this time around beyond the Eastern Conference Final and into the NBA Finals, where it's all about the big one, the championship, the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Let's see how that pans out, talking about, winning it. Still talking about basketball, we'll move over to the Madison Square Garden, the home of the New York Knicks, where the point guard Derrick Rose is out injured. He's been battling with an ankle soreness for several weeks now, and the last time he played for the Knicks was on the 16th of December. So for Derrick Rose, he will be out for about 6 to 8 weeks, having had ankle surgery just to correct the soreness he has been feeling. And while there's really no specific return date, the treatment is set to range from 6 weeks to 8 weeks, or even possible 10 to 12 weeks, depending on how he's able to recover as quickly as possible. Remember, the 33-year-old former MVP was voted the 3rd man when it comes to the 6th Man of the Year award. He was voted 3rd for last year's 6th Man of the Year award, and it just shows you how influential and impactful he is for the New York Knicks. And let's see if he returns. The Knicks will be able to, make some moves to the playoff spots, and if they can seal that from the Eastern Conference, which is a bit competitive with the likes of the Heat, the Bucks, Atlanta Hawks, amongst others. Still talking about basketball, the Boston Celtics were able to halt the winning run of the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers were on a 6-match winning run, but the Celtics were able to halt that with a 111 to 101 points victory, and this is very impressive, with Jaylen Brown scoring 34 points in there. He had his efforts complemented by Robert Williams, who scored 21 points. I also had talisman Jason Tatum, who had 18 points in there. It was a bit of a quiet night or morning, it was for Tatum, talking about the match that was played at the wee hours of today. So 18 points he finished with. For the Cavaliers, it was Darius Garland who led with 28 points, and home court legend, franchise legend Kevin Love scored 18 points in the match as well. The Cleveland Cavaliers were missing some players, the likes of Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley, Janet Allen. They were all out due to health issues. Some of them entered the NBA health and safety protocols due to COVID outbreak in the NBA as well. The NBA is also managing the COVID outbreak in the several matches. There were a handful of matches that were postponed over the last 4 or 5 days, and the NBA is also trying to see how players can navigate this story time where there's a spike in COVID cases in terms of infection in the US. So the NBA, that's a wrap of what the NBA looks like as at this time of the day. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been The Arena, and I've been Samson Oloide, your host. To the production crew who made this possible, I say thank you so much. To you, our viewers, I say oftentimes you guys are the MVP. You make this worthwhile. Thank you so much for joining us. So we'll come your way tomorrow. Do stay blessed. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.